Welcome to this explainer on the psychology of becoming rich. We usually think of wealth as just a math problem, right? Simple income minus expenses. But what if I told you the real engine of financial success is actually running quietly in the background of your mind? Today, we're going to unpack that mindset.
It brings up a really fascinating core mystery. Why do some people build extraordinary wealth while others just struggle? Think about it. You could have two people with the exact same education, similar income, equal opportunities, yet they end up with vastly different financial lives. Well, research points to a pretty amazing answer. Financial success isn't just about raw math or being super smart or even luck. It's about something way deeper. The decisions you make every single day are entirely driven by your psychology.
So, Section 1, your financial blueprint and the beliefs we inherit. This actually goes all the way back to our childhood, where we all grow up internalizing some very deeply ingrained beliefs about money. Think about the phrases you probably heard around the dinner table. Money doesn't grow on trees. Or maybe rich people are greedy. Or even just, we're simply not the kind of family that becomes wealthy. And without us even realizing it, these passing comments quietly solidify into our adult financial identity. They literally build the lens through which we view every single paycheck, every bill, and every investment opportunity that comes our way. And the crucial point here is that so many adults are out there making daily, high-stakes financial decisions based entirely on unexamined childhood programming. If you're operating on a blueprint designed for scarcity, your behaviors are naturally going to align with that. So changing your financial future begins by questioning those inherited childhood beliefs. You have to actively decide to rewrite the script you were handed.
Moving on to part 2, the power of delay, or the habit of delayed gratification. Once we clear out those old beliefs, we've got to look at how we handle the money we actually have right now.
Imagine getting a windfall of cash today. The divergence in mindsets happens in a split second. On one side, you've got the urge to spend it immediately, for that quick, short-term reward. On the other side, the choice to invest it for something much bigger in the future. Successful investors consistently prioritize that long-term growth. They're constantly weighing the timing and the trade-offs. It's just a completely different way of processing a reward.
Now, this definitely doesn't mean wealthy people avoid enjoying life entirely. They aren't just sitting in a dark room hoarding pennies, right? Rather, they recognize that over years, careful choices compound into massive financial differences. Prioritizing future value creates actual choices and freedom down the line. It's a smooth, natural progression from a small sacrifice today to absolute financial security tomorrow.
And that brings us to part 3, buying back time. The ultimate asset. Because here's a really profound realization about what financially successful people actually value most. Surprisingly, it isn't the money itself.
While most people are trapped in a cycle of exchanging their time for money, clocking in to get paid, clocking out, and the pay stops, wealthy people play a totally different game. They focus all their energy on building structural systems that free up their time. They are actively trying to sever that link between their physical labor and their income.
So how exactly do they do this? Well, they invest heavily in wealth-building systems. Things like businesses that can run without their constant presence, scalable technology that automates tasks, dedicated teams to handle daily operations, and value-producing assets like real estate or index funds. And they do this driven by a stark reality. Money can always be earned again. Lose $1,000, you can work and make it back. But time is an irreplaceable resource. Once an hour is gone, it is literally gone forever. Viewing time as your ultimate asset changes every financial move you make.
Of course, no financial journey is perfectly smooth, which brings us to part 4, fear versus opportunity and managing natural emotions. Because fear of losing money, fear of failure, or even just fear of getting started, it affects every single financial decision we make.
Listen, those fears are entirely natural. We all feel them. But instead of letting fear dictate their actions and paralyze them, successful investors use a process to manage it. The investor's process comes down to this: research, prepare, and deeply understand the risks up front. They don't make emotional choices. By doing their homework, they transform a terrifying unknown into a calculated, thoughtful choice.
This brings us to the final piece of our financial DNA, part 5, the compound effect, and the power of small, consistent actions. Becoming wealthy rarely, if ever, happens overnight. It's definitely not about one lucky stock pick or a winning lottery ticket. True wealth is generated through a smooth, continuous process of growth. It's about steps like learning a bit more about finance, saving a portion of your income religiously, investing that money, improving your skills to increase your earning power, and just making slightly better decisions today than you did yesterday. These actions might feel totally insignificant in the moment, but over time they lead to remarkable, compounding results.
So, whenever you feel discouraged, remember this: consistency often matters way more than perfection. You don't need a flawless track record, you don't have to time the market perfectly or never make a bad purchase. Just staying in the game and sticking to those small habits is where the real magic happens.
Ultimately, as we pull all these threads together, the biggest difference between the rich and the poor isn't their starting income, it's their perspective. Because money follows behavior and behavior follows mindset. The very moment you change how you think about money, moving away from those childhood limitations, prioritizing time, managing fear, focusing on consistency, you begin changing how you actually use it. That is the true first step toward building wealth.
I want to leave you with this question. If behavior follows mindset, what will your financial future look like if you change your perspective today? Think about just one belief you can rewrite right now. Thank you for joining me for this explainer on the psychology of wealth. Be sure to tune in for our next explainer of money secrets, where we challenge common habits and reveal why most people stay poor forever. You absolutely won't want to miss it.